Warning, this content may be disturbing to some audiences. Subscribe. If you dare.
When she said I'm so glad my fiance is still deployed. Noped out and left her with the bill for that dinner. Hey everybody, welcome to ANECDOSED. People ask Reddit. Single men of Reddit, what made you definitely not want a second date with a woman you went out with?
Number 1.
We went to her place and her pets and plants were all dead. I saw goldfish floating upside down in a fish tank. And she had a dead hamster in a cage on her dining room table. She said that happens a lot and all I'm imagining is hamster after hamster starving to death right in front of her. The word sociopath floated into my mind. I made some excuses to leave and she went a bit nutty at that point, which concerned me quite a bit, but at least I already figured her head was seriously spun.
Number 2.
Commenter. She rolled her eyes when I said she looked nice. She had put in a lot of effort. Criticized where I chose to eat. Complained about the music we went to see. I spent the whole date anxious, assuming that she was hating every moment, because, she didn't have anything positive to say about anything. Then I had a good time. Let's do this again. Nah, I'm good. I've got enough negativity and mixed signals coming from my own brain. I don't need that coming from the outside too. Person B. I'll work with someone like this. She's pretty popular in the office, but I dunno. She rubs me the wrong way, and she complains about everything and everyone behind their backs. Loudly too. Many of us know what she thinks of us. I completely understand why you wouldn't go for date number 2. Sorry you had a shit date. Person C. I dated a girl like that for a few months. I genuinely liked her, but towards the end of the relationship, I realized I became more jaded. Like the only way we could both communicate was by complaining about stuff. It wasn't healthy. Person D. I used to date a girl that would only reflect on the negative parts of things. If she only had a couple bad things to say about it, I knew she enjoyed it. If she had nothing bad to say about it, I knew she effing loved it. Needless to say, it was kinda irritating.
Number 3.
Commenter. I once went to a movie as a first date with a girl. Her idea, bad idea. She got there late and the movie had already started. She then wanted to talk during the movie in the middle of the crowded theater. I didn't shush her or anything, but everything was a one-word answer, trying to end the conversation. She got up halfway through and said I was obviously not interested in her. She was right. Person B. Went to see a movie for a first date with a girl. She's my wife now. I don't even remember the movie. I don't think movies on the first date are a bad idea. If all you're going to do is see the movie, then sure. But my now wife and I got a lot of talking afterwards that definitely helped. It was more like the start of the night.
Number 4.
Years ago, when I was still single, I met someone online. We chatted a bit, she seemed cool enough, and we decided to meet up for a burger at a place I knew downtown. Seemed like a kind of low-key. I get to the bar a few minutes early, and order a beer. Then finish it. Then, 45 minutes late, she rolls in. Okay, cool. We all have jobs and have dealt with traffic and whatever, it happens. But no excuse, just a shrug, and that's how it goes sometimes. She sat down, we began chit-chatting. She asked about my work. I assumed it was regular nervous small talk. 2, but no, it was trying to feel out how much money I made. 3, when she asked my job title, and I told her, she immediately suggested that we leave this casual pub place to hit up a wine bar down the block. Okay, I guess. It's a little more upscale than I had in mind, but okay. We walk there, get seated, and then come to the menus. 4, she ordered herself dinner. Some kind of seafood thing that cost an insane amount of money. And a bottle of wine. Not a glass, mind you. A $250 effing bottle of wine. I had already ordered a drink from the bar for myself, and got the impression that this was not wine to share. 5, she kept talking about much her job sucked, and how little it paid, and how no one at her work was fun to hang out with. Like the only conversation she had was bashing work and coworkers. With a few mildly racist undertones. 6, the whole time, she was texting friends to meet up that evening. I was invited, of course, to party with them all night, and, I assume, bankroll their fun. I discreetly went up to the bar, paid for my drink, and just left. Straight up noped out of there, without so much as a goodbye. From my messages when I checked in online later, I know that I stuck her with an almost $500 bill, and that she was going to sue me for it. Heard from the wine bar owner later, it was close to work, and a sometimes happy hour spot, That she apparently tried to skip out on the bill, but they stopped her and she paid. BTW, my very next date was with the woman I eventually married. It went much better.
Number 5.
Commenter. I went on a date with a lady I met online. She talked about 3 things on this date and little else. Her pets. Her ex. The last time she had gastro. There was no second date. Person B. You too, huh? My date talked about how badly her children treat her and how incapable they are as adults. One comment or two would have been within reason, but the entire date became Dr. Phil buys a strange woman dinner where I get to play Phil. I wanted to discuss Carrillo Conrad's versus stock and ask her what her thoughts about the idea of sport cat converters were, give her a cup of her own meds. However, I'm sure she would have never understood why I was doing that, paid the tab and hit the asphalt, see ya.
Number 6.
Commenter. Went to dinner, she was on her phone the entire time texting. Even when we were talking. Figured she was just in it for a free dinner, cause really what's the point of agreeing to date if you're not going to try to get to know the person? Person B. I have a similar one. Except when she wasn't texting, she was constantly talking/complaining about really petty issues in a much higher pitched voice than I had expected. She also must have extensively touched up her profile pics. Last time I dated someone fresh out of high school, the mental maturity just was not there at all. I was 20 at the time, so I thought 1 to 2 years wouldn't be that big a deal, but man, was I wrong. Person C. Similar. Got a seat? Ig photo. Order a beer/wine. Ig photo. Food came? Ig photo. Her conversation topics in between? Hashtags and how many likes and if someone important liked one of her photos. While she took the food photo, she said hashtag delicious. I was at an 11 on the Richter scale by that point.
Number 7.
Commenter. I drove her home because she didn't have a car at that time, and she asked we stop for an errand. To pick up matching t-shirts she had designed for her and her ex. Person B. Lol. Took a girl on a date, and after a very pleasant dinner and a movie she said she really needed to hit the grocery store. I needed some things myself, and I was really digging this chick, so figured what the heck, we'll do some shopping together. She comes back with diapers and formula, and when I asked who they were for, she said her 2-month-old that was sitting at home with her ex-boyfriend that still lived with her. None of this was brought up in the 3 weeks we talked before the date. I ghosted her so hard that I had a cameo in Paranormal Activity.
Number 8.
Commenter. She said, ha, can't wait for you to meet my older brother, he just got out of jail for selling heroin. Me, didn't you tell me your younger brother was addicted to heroin? Her, oh yeah, wonder how that happened. Person B. In all fairness, my older brother just got put away for up to 40 years for making meth, and I'm about as straight-edged as you get. Obviously, if her younger brother was into it too, statistically there's a good chance she was into it as well, but sometimes, as someone with 4 older siblings, you look at your family and say, F that, I'm gonna be different. But yeah, in this case, you probably dodged a serious bullet.
Number 9.
I arrived at her place and she told me to hop in her car as she just needed to drop something off at a friend's house real quick. It wasn't a friend, it was someone she had an appointment to sell those hot oil diffusers and their millions of scented inserts to. I sat in a stranger's home for 90 minutes while they smelled them all. She wanted to go to dinner afterwards and I asked her to please drop me off at the car so I could go home. She had a business to run. Guess it didn't even make it a whole first date.
Number 10.
Commenter. When she said, I'm so glad my fiance is still deployed. Noped out and left her with the bill for that dinner. Person B. After college I spent a few months couch surfing with friends across the country, and eventually ended up shacking up with a friend of a friend that I met at a party. Ah, youth. Anyway, one morning a few weeks and I was walking to the kitchen early in the morning before she went to work and heard her on the phone. I probably shouldn't have listened, but I did. Turns out her boyfriend was coming to visit from the army and she was trying to figure out what to do, because he was going to kick my effing ass. I went back upstairs and came down 15 minutes later. She was all smiles. I kissed her goodbye, packed up my shit, took a cab to the airport, and got a same-day ticket home, which depleted most of the rest of my funds. Man, I have felt bad about that for years. A buddy of mine had it happen to him when he was deployed, and I've always wondered if the other guy knew or if he was just some oblivious bastard like me. What gets me is how everyone I met must have been complicit. I hung out with her friends multiple times. Like, the friend I met her through didn't know because they hadn't been close for a while, but I find it difficult to believe that her other relationships were unaware of her long-term boyfriend and treated me like I was her boyfriend.
Number 11.
Commenter. I went for a meal with this girl I met through a dating app and it was going really well. We started talking about movies and then we decided to go to the cinema to go watch Inception. She said there was a cinema nearby but I didn't know the area at all, so I used the GPS on my phone and she held it and directed me. Once we got there we started walking inside and I realized I didn't have my phone in my pocket. I said I must have left it in the car and started to walk back to get it. She was trying to get me to leave it and saying we would miss the film, but the phone was only about a week old, so I was really paranoid about it. We checked the car for about 10 minutes but we couldn't find it. I asked her to check her jacket and bag but she said it wasn't there. A couple parked next to us, so I asked them to ring my number because I couldn't find it. It started to ring and it was obviously coming from my date's handbag. She took it out and said she must have missed it. I thanked the couple and locked my car, and as I turned back around she was walking the other way. I ran to catch up and asked what was going on, but she was very dismissive and was barely talking. That's when I realized it probably wasn't an accident, and just left her to walk home alone. Person B. Kind of similar. Long time ago I went on a date with this chick. She was insistent on going to a nice place because why not? I settled for the second nicest place near the beach kind of. Mid-dinner after she was done hers, she asked to use my cell phone to call her mom or friend or something. I thought nothing of it. Anyway, she took my phone and left. After about an hour of not being able to find her anywhere and my phone being off when I called it, I realized she effing stole it and got a free meal too. Went home and looked up where my phone was and it was like an hour away from Las Vegas. That chick literally took my phone and started driving immediately to Las Vegas. I was living in LA at the time. Good times.
Make sure to share your personal story in the comments below and have the opportunity to be featured in a future video. Also, if you like these topics, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification button to continue seeing more content like this every day. See you next time.